You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Welcome into Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now here are your hosts, Jeff and Nicole Essig.
All right, welcome into the Fitness Fanatics. We were almost just the Fitness Fanatic here for the start of the show. If you're watching on the stream, you'll notice that Nicole is not here once again. So I have a co-host. No, she's really not here. She had to take a trip to Iowa. One of our friends that we've had on the show, Mary Lee, just didn't really get a good diagnosis on her latest brain cancer screen. So she had to go take a trip to see her this weekend. And we'll just kind of leave it at that. So she's not off, on vacation like she was last time. She was at a concert.
Typical Nicole.
Yeah. So, I can't go by myself because nobody just wants to listen to me in Harrison. So I had to get a co-host. So I'm joined by one of our instructors at the Pioneers location, Brandy Benson. How are you?
I'm doing well. I almost was doing this show by myself because you literally rolled in about 2 minutes ago.
Yes. So it's Good Life Halvesy Day here in Lincoln. Now, Brandy and I, we both live in Colonial Hills, which is 56 Pioneers area. And when I got here, I talked to Brandy. I said, well, I left at 8:35. And usually takes me 7-8 minutes.
Right.
Here.
It's a quick drive here.
Right. And usually we just zip down 56 and we're here. I thought, the race is going on, so I need to go a different route today. And usually I just zip down 56 to 48 and we're here. So I had the great idea to drive to 84th, which is 2 miles east, and then go up to O Street. Well, so everything was going great. I was fine. And then I decided to turn on A Street. And if you don't know anything about Lincoln, you're like, well, I don't know any of these streets. Well, the Good Life Halvesy starts on A Street. But I thought, everybody would be cleared out.
Sure. It started at 7, didn't it?
7:30.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So going down A versus O is a lot faster on a normal day. Not a lot of stoplights, and O Street could be busy. So I turn on A, and the road's closed. So I pulled into the east parking lot, and I was trying to cut through the parking lot, and I literally thought about getting out and moving a barricade. In fact, I even talked to a lady there. She's flagging me down, and I was like, it was 8:51 at this point. And I'm like, I'm going to be late. I have a show I'm supposed to do. She's like, this is closed for the runners. This is fine. And so I just reversed, and I called Nicole, and I was frantic. I'm like, I am going to be late to my own show. This is crazy because traffic was backed up from 84 to the high school, which is
a long way.
Yes, and it was bumper to bumper. So I am a Pokemon Go player. Now, Pokemon Go has come in handy for us several times, especially navigating through the back streets of Lincoln. Because I don't know if I could get lost in Colonial Hills.
Oh, sure. I do all the time.
Yeah, you turn left. There's no stop signs. The roads are just curving all over the place.
Some of them loop.
Yeah, they loop around. You're back to where you started. It's like a maze back there. So I opened Pokemon Go. I'm like, all right, I'm going to turn left off of A. I don't know where I'm going, but I just followed my map.
That's how you got out of it?
That's how I got out of it.
Pokemon Go.
I had my Pokemon Go map, and I'm like, okay, this looks like O Street, and I came out by Walgreens on O.
Oh, perfect.
Yes, and I turned left, and
Okay, that took you a long way. If you followed that app all that way, that's a long way.
Yeah, it was just, but it has like maps open, so I could see kind of like far in the distance.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, I know what this Pokemon Go gym is. I'm just going to go try to get here. And I drove by this big lake that I've never seen before back in there. I mean, it's just a huge lake. I've never been back there. We're actually
maybe you could drive by it when you leave since you have more time.
I don't even know if I could get back there.
I don't think you could, honestly.
I don't know if I could find my way back.
Now, we literally lived, I would venture to say it is a 60 to 90 second drive away from each other.
So yes. So,
I also left at 8:35, forgot all about the Halvesy, went on 56, got to Normal. They had it blocked off. So I went left, and then runners weren't there yet. So this police officer told me to cut right, put on 48, got here with time to spare. I had time to go to the gas station and grab myself some breakfast.
Yeah, she peeked in here
Yeah,
about, it was the third segment of the last show. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, she's here already.
Yeah,
And then I get a frantic phone call.
8:45, just sitting
Right.
here listening to Bigger Than the Final Score. And yeah,
So me overreacting, overanalyzing.
I mean, ignorance is bliss is a very true mantra, right? Because I had absolutely no
Yes.
idea.
I pulled up the
What's
map
going
this
on?
morning. I'm like, it's going right through 56. I don't want to be stuck. I left early, but I was just, I mean, if I was, and we complained about people driving on this show before, and I was one of those drivers today because I was
Who's that guy?
flying through the neighborhood, looking like this, looking at the Pokemon map, just whipping, like, how am I going to right, left? I mean, I didn't even look to see if cars were, there's no stop signs in the
No.
side. It wasn't even slowing down to look right. Look, I'm just flying through. Oh, it was
You
just
should write
madness.
a testimonial or like contact Pokemon Go, and talk about how
It
like
saved me.
it saved you.
Yeah, because I would have been lost, and if I would have waited to turn left onto O Street, I would not be here right now.
We could have handled it.
Yeah.
Well,
Right? We could have.
I was gonna call in. I thought so. I called
Sure.
Harrison. He's like, "Oh, are you calling in this morning?" I'm like, "No, I'm just stuck in the good absent traffic," and that was all brought on. And so I called Nicole, and she was like, "I was in a frantic. I was panicked," and she's like, "Don't throw up in your car because there's a story behind that. I ate a banana." And she says, I worked myself up into the frenzy.
I've done
to the
that.
point where I threw up in my car.
I've done that. Not in my car, but
Well, she's like, don't throw up. That's her first words.
Real quick from text line, John in Cortland, it's Wedgwood Lake. That was the one.
oh,
Okay, Wedgwood Lake.
Mhm.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever been there either. I don't know where that is.
It was for the
Said it was his running ground, so it must be pretty.
okay, yeah, for the 2 seconds that I looked to my right to see the lake, because I'm like, ooh, do I drive by this lake or do I? But yeah. So anyway, I made it,
You made it.
and I'm here.
It's all that matters.
Yes. So I'm sweating profusely now because I was panicked and I have my water. So
Are you wearing your MyZone?
No,
to
I'm not
see if
wearing
you
my
got your
MyZone.
MEPs?
I know. No. But I should be because my heart rate was racing. But then I was like, yeah, maybe I could just call in for the first segment. So it would be kind of funny if I was late too. But I made it on time.
The last time I had to come here a couple weeks ago to do a show in the morning, I was on O Street, right on time. Things were going great, and then I saw the construction vehicle that paints the lines, and I was in the left lane. And it's like, do not come over.
Yep.
You'll get wet paint on your car. So I was trying to figure out how to get turned around on O Street to get down the road to get here.
And you made it.
I made it.
All right. So we have about 15 minutes. We've all filled 10 minutes already.
I mean-
Time's just flying by.
Well, we put some extra commercials in there.
Oh,
too.
okay. Yeah, because I was like, throw a couple minutes extra. It'd be great. Give me a little more time. So coming up here at 9:30 we're gonna be joined by Lisa. Robb is her name. And I met Lisa. Well, I actually didn't talk to her at the Farrell's Extravaganza, but I did meet her. She's just texting me. I did meet her at the Farrell's Extravaganza. Oh, Harrison, have you emailed the link yet?
Doing it right now as you called it out.
Harrison.
Okay, so
She'll
yes.
get it. We'll,
Okay. All right. So Harrison's going to email a link. So we're going to be joined by her. She is a Farrell's member in Madison,
Mhm.
Wisconsin. So we'll try to keep the Wisconsin Badger talk to a minimum.
Sure.
Because that's where she went to school, is Wisconsin. So she's going to be joining us. Motivational speaker. She did a very, very awesome job at the Extravaganza. So we're excited to have her join us at 9:30. So she'll be getting that link. If she's listening now, she'll be getting that link here momentarily. But for the rest of the time here, we're going to kind of take it to a little more serious note. So today is my dad's birthday.
Oh, wow.
Well, it would have been my dad's birthday. So my dad would have been 76 today.
Okay.
October 23rd. But he died of a stroke at age 69. So in 2015. One of the reasons why we do what we do
Mm-hmm.
and why I try to take care of my health is because we have a family history of strokes.
Mm-hmm.
Dad died at 69. My grandpa died at 73. My dad's brother died at 70. So just those 3 examples of, family members dying of a stroke. So I like, if you have family history, you could use that as I could be like, well, it's in my blood.
Right.
I'm probably going to die anyway at 70. So
Right.
why take care of myself? Right. But I'm trying to do everything I can that I'm not going to use that as a reason to not take care of myself.
Mhm.
I might die of a stroke at 70.
Sure. But it could happen tomorrow too.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
a million things could happen. And I don't know. I've always been somebody that, for me, fitness has always been a very big part of my life.
Yes.
My upbringing, my mom and dad were very health conscious people. My parents are both in their 60s, and my dad still is very adamant about getting on the treadmill, getting on the elliptical, getting outside, and just taking care of your health. And so, I think that even if you're at a place where it's like you have something in your medical history or your family history, or if you're at a place where you're like, well, what's the point in starting right now? I'm a very, very big believer in just like baby steps, right? And
Right.
just maintaining some kind of routine. And from me being there, as long as you've been at the Farrells here,
Mhm.
I'm not the best at coming in. I'm not the best at attendance, but for me, it's just about making sure I get there when I can get there.
Right.
Sometimes I'll be there for an entire challenge. Sometimes I'll only be there 2 days a week for a couple of weeks because that's all I can do. But it's just about committing to taking care of yourself in the best ways that you can, regardless of what could happen down the road.
Right. Right. So that's kind of my thing is, so yeah, my dad would have been 76 today. But I'm not a really big sentimental person, like the one day that kind of bothers me is Father's Day.
Sure.
Like I'm not a real want to celebrate that, but like,
Sure.
when his birthday comes up, and I know people will post on Facebook and tag him, which I think is kind of weird because he's not going to see it anyway. So like, I don't ever do that, but just Father's Day is kind of the day that bothers me a little bit, with him not being here. But for those that are listening to this, listening to this show, and those that go to Farrell's in Lincoln, Nebraska, go to Farrell's in Altoona, without my dad's help, we would not be owners of Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping. So I worked for him when we left to take over Farrell's, and he thought, this is your dream. You want to help people. So we borrowed money from my dad and my stepmom, Linda, at the time, to buy the Altoona location. So without him,
Sure,
we would not be here.
Did he ever come and take a class?
Yeah, he did.
He did?
Him and Linda did
Okay.
do the 10-week challenge.
Okay.
Yes. And he was a tough 10-weeker because at week 5, he wanted to quit because he wasn't losing any weight. I was like, Dad, it's not about that, right? And so, but I mean, they loved it. They loved Farrell's, and my dad was born and raised in Lincoln, Panama, Nebraska.
Okay.
And one thing that saddens me is that he isn't here to see us moving to Lincoln.
Sure.
To run Farrell's and live in Lincoln, Nebraska, because that's where we wanted to originally open our first Farrell's back in 2009.
Right.
But it never happened. So that's one thing that I think about when we're here and just doing stuff in Lincoln and living here, is that he's just not around to
Right.
or hear me talk about Nebraska football, like
Right.
which is something I wanted to do my whole life.
Right.
Also, so just a little sad day today, but also. So like Brandy and I were talking about, if you're out there and you're just like, and like we're talking with you, yeah, you don't come every day.
Nope.
And a lot of our members don't come every day. A lot of people don't work out every day.
Right.
But it's a matter of finding that balance of getting there when you can, and don't be like, well, I haven't worked out for a week, so I'm just
not going to go.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the month's over,
Right.
the year's over, the decade's over.
Right.
Start next year.
Right.
Yes.
And I've been, so I because I was thinking about this morning before we got here. I will have been at Farrell's for 7 years in April. And I remember at the time that I started, my now husband when we first started dating, he would invite me to go to dinner places and I would say, I can't go. And then finally I felt like I should say why I couldn't go. And it was because I was following my diet plan. And so I had told him, I really like hanging out with you. And I want to like eat meals with you, but I can't go out until June.
Was this so you met Justin?
Yeah,
is his
yeah,
name.
yeah.
You met him during the 10-week
like
challenge?
literally maybe 3 weeks before I started.
Oh, okay.
And so, but I was thinking about it, and one of the things that I really love, and I try to explain to people, because I think that when people say, well, where do you go? And I say, Farrell's, and the extreme is in there.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, I don't know, but like that stresses me out. Like, what does that mean? And I always say, like, I love our gym because nobody cares about you and everybody cares about you, right? Like
Right.
everybody is this family.
So true.
Right?
Yes.
We all talk to each other. We are all there to support each other, on social media, in life, all of these things. But for those 45 minutes we're working out, nobody's watching you.
Mhm.
Everybody's there to do their own thing. We'll talk to each other with, when an instructor's like 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left, like everybody will cheer together. But when you're there, nobody's watching you. You go at your own pace. If you need to stop and take a break and get a drink of water, get a drink of water. If your arm hurts from, doing jab burnouts, stop and shake your arms out for a second. Like, I think that there's sometimes this misperception that if you start a new gym, and especially one that's not like a weight room or something that you're familiar with,
Right.
it's going to be really hard and it's going to be really complicated. And it's not, the thing that this is the longest I've ever been at like a fitness facility. And what I love about it is just the ease at which, like I said, you can come and go as you please. If you aren't able to be there when you come back, everybody is there to welcome you. And, I can say for the last 7 years, I remember after doing my first, or my 10 weeks, I remember when I got to December, and I'm a New Year's resolution person. And that was like the first year of my life that I didn't have to say, I'm going to take care of myself.
Right.
I'm going to get in better shape.
Mhm.
I'm going to eat healthier, because it was something that I'd already been doing.
Mhm.
And what I love is that I've been able to maintain that for 7 years.
Right.
Sure, I'm not the healthiest person ever, right? Like when I told you I stopped at a gas station to get breakfast, I stopped to get Pop-Tarts because I wanted Pop-Tarts this
Those
morning.
carbs in there.
Right. But for me, like I have learned, and it's in large part to Farrell's, this part of this balance,
Right.
right? Like you said, like if you don't go for a week, or let's say you eat really unhealthy, you didn't just sabotage your entire life. You sabotage that day. So tomorrow we get up and we do it again, and we just
Mhm.
try again.
Yep. All right. Well, just real quick before we get to break, like when Crystal was in here, we were talking about how, like, one of her best friends at the gym is Kelly.
Right.
They go on vacations together.
Right.
They go all over the world.
Yeah.
They went on a sailing trip, just the middle of nowhere,
Sure.
out on a boat. And they didn't know each other until they started
Right.
at Farrell's. And some of your best friends are people
Absolutely.
you met at
Yeah.
Farrell's as well.
An interesting fact. So I actually work with Crystal
Yes.
in
yes.
our
yes.
daytime jobs.
Yes.
Which was already, like, oh, coincidence when I started at Farrell's. But here's another plot twist in our story. When Crystal was in college, she used to live in my house that I live in now.
Oh,
How weird is that? What, like,
Yeah, that is
she told me
weird.
that, and I was like, what? So yeah, just completely weird side note.
any
but
carvings on the wall, like on Shawshank
that's how I
Redemption,
knew.
Like Crystal was here.
That's why. Yeah.
CK
Yeah. I said to
was
her when
here.
she told me that, I was like, that makes sense.
From what
Yeah,
the vibes.
The
and-
wall says Crystal's here. So that's weird.
All right. Well, we are up against our first break. Thanks for putting up with us. When we get back, we'll get on track here.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be joined by Lisa Robb, health coach from Madison, Wisconsin, and FXB Madison. We'll be right back on 93.7 The Ticket, Fitness Fanatics.
Allo means business. Allo means local business. Allo means big business. Allo means small business. No matter your business, if you need reliable phone and internet connectivity, you need Allo. Local service and same-day dispatch. Free installation. Symmetrical upload and download speeds. If your business relies on communication, rely on Allo. Allo means business. Visit allofiber.com/business.
A commitment to volunteer service is one of the many things that makes Nebraska so special. Volunteers give their time, energy, and resources, and they ask for nothing in return. The Step Forward Awards ensures they're recognized for all they do. Serve Nebraska thanks all the nominators, nominees, and sponsors for helping to honor their dedication. The Lifetime Achievement Award is the most prestigious award in the state given for volunteerism. Serve Nebraska is proud to award this year's Lifetime Achievement Award to Henry Potter of Willow Island. He's being honored for founding L2 for Kids. L2 for Kids is entirely volunteer run and works towards boosting children's self-esteem by providing new clothes and shoes for their first day of school. In 2021, they purchased new clothes for 967 Central Nebraska students. Congratulations to all the 2022 Step Forward Award honorees. Sponsored by Serve Nebraska, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
I grew up hearing that women are bad with money, but like many of you, I spent years paying bills, managing checking accounts, and taking care of my family. So turns out women are pretty good with money after all. And now I'm taking control of my financial future by saving for retirement. It's never too late to start, and there's a great website to help you. Check out WeSaySaveIt.org and jumpstart your retirement savings on your budget and your timeline. That's WeSaySaveIt.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, you got any gum?
Yeah, check my backpack.
What's this?
Oh, that's naloxone. It can reverse an opioid overdose. I decided to always keep it on me after my friend almost died. It saved his life.
I'm so sorry. That makes me want to have it with me too.
You totally should. Check the pharmacy. It was actually really easy to get, and it's easy to use.
I definitely will. Thanks.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by Nebraska DHHS. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I grew up hearing that women are bad with money, but like many of you, I spent years paying bills, managing checking accounts, and taking care of my family. So turns out women are pretty good with money after all. And now I'm taking control of my financial future by saving for retirement. It's never too late to start, and there's a great website to help you. Check out WeSaySaveIt.org and jumpstart your retirement savings on your budget and your timeline. That's WeSaySaveIt.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into the Fitness Fanatics. Thanks for listening. First half hour, we had a lot of fun stories. So if you missed any part of the show, you can go back and listen to us via our podcast. Just go to theticketfm.com, click on Ticket Weeknights. That's where we're under, even though we're on Sunday morning. We're under the Ticket Weeknight I haven't seen it. I have to talk to Mark and see if we can get our own special page, like maybe weekends, right? You can put
we need to do that. I want to ticket weekends,
the American benefits, because there's a lot of weekend shows on.
It's getting collected, and right now in the folder throughout like the weeks, I'm making different sections. So we have ticket weeknights, and then I want to do a ticket weekends thing too. Just have a whole special page. Exactly what you said.
Now, is there? So usually on Sunday mornings when I go to clean the gyms before the shows, I will listen to the call-in show. But I never can find it on like the podcast. So I always pull it up on the Facebook and I just kind of rewatch the stream. Is there a podcast link for the the call-in show?
It still needs to be set up. So we have like everything basically cut up, but for the most part, it's like YouTube, Facebook, our streaming services where you got to get them right now.
Because I know our next guest, Lisa, she would just die to be able to listen to a Nebraska call-in show after a loss, because I'll tell you,
oh my,
now we'll get to Lisa here in just a second. She's a Wisconsin Badger alum, which they had obviously great game yesterday. I was actually cheering for them to beat Purdue. And Nebraska wasn't playing.
Sure.
So a lot of people get married here in Lincoln on the non-Husker game days, or you go to the pumpkin patch. What was I doing? I was watching football all day.
But I bet you weren't as stressed.
Oh, no stress at all. In fact, when Iowa loses by 44 points, I mean, I don't think you could get a better game than
just
that.
do a little tap dance while
so
you're
even
cleaning the gym.
Even last night, I was home by myself because Nicole's out of town. Ben had a marching band thing, so he was up there early. So I was like listening to the Iowa post-game call-in show. It was fascinating radio.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was great. I listened to all 3 hours. That's how it was great. It was great. But anyway, enough with sports for now. So we'll get to our guest. She's been patiently waiting. But Lisa, if you ever want to watch the Husker call-in show after a loss, you just go to the Ticket FM Facebook page and you can watch the meltdown.
It's a lot.
So Lisa, how are you?
I am
Might be going through some
fantastic.
technical difficulties here.
Technical difficulties.
Yep, we got some issues with the audio here. So we might have to have Lisa call in if that's okay. If not, you guys keep talking. Let me see if I try one more thing here.
So, you're talking about Nebraska meltdowns.
Yes.
Well, I did not grow up in Nebraska. I did not grow up in Lincoln. However, my dad is from Nebraska. And so Husker football obviously was a huge part of my upbringing. And that was like our thing, right? We, just like everybody else, we religiously watched Husker football in my house. And I was such a diehard fan that I would just talk mad trash in elementary school.
Oh, absolutely.
Just mad trash on how the Huskers were going to win. My room was all decked out. Like I had a Husker bedspread, curtains, sheets, the works. And when they would lose, I would have a meltdown. Like I would strip my bed. I would throw my sheets over the stairs and I would cry. And I didn't want to go to school on Monday because I knew I was going to get teased.
Wait, and where did you grow up?
In Wyoming.
Oh, okay.
And I remember, because my dad and I were all in, being angry if we lost. But he was a lot more mature than my 9-10-year-old self. And so he would always come in after I would have my meltdown and he would say, a loss, we lost, but the sun will come up tomorrow. And and to this day, anytime we lose, in the back of my mind, I think of that and I always say, oh, well, the sun will come up tomorrow. And without fail, here we are again with another day. And it's fine. But it is a little bit easier, I think, when we don't play on Saturdays because I know my stress levels are significantly lower.
Well, and the sun has came up a lot.
Yeah.
Over the last
But it still does.
10 years.
But it still does.
And I tell my kids, because, when I tell them like, oh, we used to be like Alabama, it's like, just a fable, right? Now they just can't believe it. So like when we lose, I'm like, okay, I'm still going to have to pay the rents,
sure,
right?
Sure.
Still going to have to go to work, still going to have to pay the bills. So nothing changes for me.
And I'm sure
win or lose.
I know saying this, like if God is a Husker fan, he might just strike me with lightning, but it is just a game.
Let's try to bring Lisa back in here one more time here. Okay. And if it echoes, we're just going to have a call in here.
Okay. Lisa, let's hear it. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, yep, we're gonna have to have a call in here.
Okay.
We just got echoing on the mic, so one of the audio is not set up correctly either on our end or her end. We'll have to call in for now, and we can figure that out maybe over the next break here.
Okay, so I just texted her the call-in number. So if you want to give us a call, Lisa, you can give us a call and we'll get you that way. So Harrison will answer the phone here when you call in and we'll get you on. So yeah, watching all kinds of football yesterday. It was great. Iowa got blown out. Purdue got blown out. I mean, it was just fantastic day of football. So,
and then Lisa, do we have you on the line right now?
Oh,
yep, we can hear you just fine here. You put the. All right, I think we're good.
All right, so we are. This must be a Wisconsin thing. Is it a Wisconsin technical difficulty?
probably.
Oh, you know how it goes. The technology, right? You can't live with it. You can't live without it. All right. Well, welcome in, Lisa. Lisa is a professional life coach, certified running coach, and a national speaker on mindset. She's the chief inspiration officer of Raining Glitter Coaching, which we will talk about here in just a little bit. She works with women to leverage the things they can control to create a pinch me, I must be dreaming life. Lisa's earned both her master's degree in education as well as her professional life coaching certificate at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Lisa's also the founder of the 12-Minute Turtles, an innovative virtual running community for back of the pack runners, which I am a back of the pack runner.
Same.
So your story at the extravaganza just bam hit me, because we kind of have a thing at Farrell's that we say we're not competers, we're completers, right? So we're not trying to win any medals when we go out there. So as a certified running coach, she helps women who are in the back of the pack cross finish lines. The Turtles are on a mission to inspire others one city at a time. Next up is in Phoenix, Arizona. So we're going to talk about that all in the second hour. But first, we want to get to know a little bit about you, Lisa. So give us a little bit about your background, how you got into fitness, how you got into Farrell's, all that fun stuff for our listeners to get to know you a little bit. Okay. Yeah, 6 days. Whoa. Now, was this before or after you started running? Okay. Okay. So you've done marathons, but you were worried about working out for 6 days in a row, right? Okay.
Sure.
Just a lot of arm swinging, right?
Yeah.
Well, and it's such a different type of cardio training because Brandy's done. Have you done half marathons?
I've done halves.
Okay.
Yeah, never done a full.
So Brandy's done half marathons. I've done full marathons, half marathons. Nicole's done full and half. And it's like
we could be in great feral shape, which is more of the HIIT training, where you have your high intensity for 2-3 minutes on the bag, where you're just 100 miles an hour for 2 or 3 minutes, and then you're off the bag doing a little recovery, squats, lunges, push-ups, sit-ups, stuff like that, where versus running of the constant, it's just a different type of cardio. So like I haven't ran a lot this year, and if I were to go out and try to run now, I am not in good running shape at all. Feral shape, I'm in good shape. Running shape, two totally different things. But as you've kind of seen, because you still are doing training for marathons and doing ferals all at once, we have a lot of people that are like, well, I need to quit because I'm training for the half Z or I'm training for a half marathon. And we're like, no, you don't want to quit ferals to train to run, because it's going to help you be a better runner, especially like doing lower body strength training days. So Nicole's always funny when we run with friends and stuff like that. If they weren't big leg day people and we get to a hill and she would just power right up the hill and then she's waiting for them, she'd be like, well, if you would do leg day, you'd be up here with me, So yeah, talk about a little bit about that, how for those that are running and how that all works together, since you're kind of living that right now. Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
100%.
Right.
Yep.
So what got you into fitness? Like, like I didn't just think growing up like, oh, I'm going to own a gym. Right. So you probably didn't grow up thinking, well, I'm going to be a life coach for people. Like most people, it's hard enough to get our own life straightened out, let alone help other people. So like, what kind of led you down that path of being a life and a health and wellness coach to help mentor other people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I made that, and I love doing that.
There, yeah,
It should be gone.
Yeah, it's good. Right. 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 All right. Well, we are up against a break. When we come back, before we get into the real serious stuff, I want to talk a little football with you. Okay. So we'll be back. 93.7. I mean, we are a sports station after all, so we got to have a little fun. So 93.7 The Ticket, Fitness Fanatics. We're joined by Lisa Robb, who is a life and wellness coach out of Madison, Wisconsin. We'll be right back. 93.7 The Ticket, Fitness Fanatics.
College football in Lincoln, America. The time has come. Start your game day off right with the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the ticket crew live from Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket as they bring you all the coverage.
I texted her. Look what I texted.
It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show on 93.7 The Ticket and the Ticket FM.
Figure. I know. Hold up.
Motors, wall-to-wall wine and spirits, Tower Underground, then Viking with professional realty Energy Brothers.
I'm Smoky Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got the mix. I've been camping since I was 5 years old. But I am a camping influencer.
Sometimes people call in, they're fine.
Yeah.
Like on the stream.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on live stream. It's like, do you have your audios like?
Yeah, like go to your audio settings. Now
Right.
check your preferences.
Because the last time I had it, it was fine. It was perfect. No.
Yeah, when we had Chip, they were good.
I mean, whatever. What can you do, you know?
Well, and really, like, the only people that see that, if you call in and you're listening on the radio or on the podcast, you don't know if they're on or not, Now feel free to chime in.
Well, I was going to, but she kept talking, so I was waiting. So I had a question, and then
and
then right when I was, you're like, all right, we're taking a break. So
well, that's because he's just. So yeah, if you want to ask something, just just jump in.
I was just waiting. I was waiting for her to tell her story.
Your dog walker, your cat jug. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait,
Yeah, there's
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes?
The comments we're
That's
trying to figure out.
33%
It's messing with our
of adults.
like
That means
YouTube
it could be
stream.
me,
So the
my
radio
boss,
on air
or my
radio is
boss's
fine now.
boss, or me, my
Oh, at
favorite sister, or my
9:44,
other sister. That's 7
said
members
Jeff,
of my
can
21-person
hear
romantic
you
book club.
too, but can't hear Lisa.
So I had to mute the site to eliminate the echo, but as a result, it's going to affect the live stream.
I'm going to take
So
the
we're trying to
risk
find
test
a
at
way
doihaveprediabetes.org.
to get it all working at the same time without the echo. But I sent the producers a mass text, and they're trying to. They think it's on her end. We're not sure if she's got it playing. So it looks like she's got her earbuds in.
Yeah.
If you're not black, you can't have cornrows. If you're not Asian, you can't use chopsticks. If you're white, you can't score a touchdown.
4 shows, November 11th and 12th at 7 and 9:30 at Mary Ellen's at
So it's a contest, and everything will be fine if we do it this way. It's going to mess with your YouTube stream.
Go ahead.
What's this?
This is why we got the experts in
Yeah,
here.
tell me about it. I'm like, no idea.
Like StreamYard's a great thing, but it's also
Yeah.
can be stressful.
Everything about what's happening right now is what made me not be in radio anymore.
Yeah, like technical difficulties. Shit.
Because it gives me such bad anxiety.
Right, when it's live on air too, you're like, I better figure this out.
I know. And so it's like, I can't hear you. I'm like, ah,
It's like, I just want to get the radio first, and
Volunteer
then
service is one of the many things that
StreamYard
makes
next.
Nebraska so special. Volunteers give their time, energy, and resources, and they
If I
ask
do
for
that.
nothing in return. The Step Forward Awards ensures they're recognized for all they do. Those honored this year for the impact they've made on their communities are David Hogsett of Lamar, Raylan Chervier of Norfolk, Rhonda McClellan of Lincoln, Zoe Ballard of Lincoln, North Platte Buffalo Bill Kiwanis in North Platte, Fusion Medical Staffing
Well,
in
it's
Omaha.
nice to know that
Balsam
people are
Enterprises
listening.
in Green Bay,
Right?
Peterson,
Yeah, I feel like you guys pick
Dutch
up a little more
County
traction
Amateur
each
Radio
week, it seems
Emergency
like.
Services in Fremont, and Henry Potter of Willow Island.
Well, we got a lot of
South Nebraska
ticket
thanks all
listeners doing
nominators,
ferals, you know.
nominees,
Yeah.
and
So
sponsors
that's
for helping us celebrate volunteerism. To learn
Who's,
more about the
I
Step
always forget
Forward
his name.
Awards and this
He's
year's honorees,
the
visit
guy,
serve
he
dot
was on
nebraska
Yankee
dot
Hill.
gov.
He's the
Sponsored
6
by
a.m.
Serve
guy.
Nebraska, aired by the Nebraska
Kind of like a little bit
Broadcasters
gray hair,
Association
short
and the
hair.
station.
He's super in shape though. He always does like the minute session at the end. Where he planks through the
Oh, Jim.
Jim?
Yes.
Yeah, Jim's crazy. That's
He's a ticket listener.
Is it?
Mhm.
Yeah, 'cause I always usually look at Jim and try to see how he's doing it. Cause like when he's kicking the bag, like he has so much more pop than like a lot of
I
other
know.
people.
I get so jealous.
So I'm always
People,
like trying to
make it
figure out
stuff
like his
and
footwork.
stuff.
I'm like, how the hell are you just kicking it so hard?
Just takes a little time, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, that and like form stuff too. Like I can ask him about form. A lot of that definitely helps.
You're gonna be a lifer.
We good?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back in. We're having a few technical issues here this morning, but
It's the name of
I
the
mean,
game sometimes.
you could have known we were going to have some technical issues with how I got here.
I mean,
So
yeah, the morning started off just a little bit rough and rocky for you.
I think I'm causing all this.
No, you probably are.
I am.
You should probably leave. Me and Harrison can just
Because I
talk to Lisa.
think my negative energy this morning when I was driving here has just affected everything.
Maybe it was fine before you got here.
The
I'll say
phone,
that.
the first two shows of the day were perfect, and then I walk in, it's just going crazy.
I feel like it's good that we have Lisa because this is her jam. Like
She's-
positive mindset,
Yes.
positive vibes. So you could not have had a worse morning at a better time.
Yes, because I need to get my mindset
Right.
correct.
Right,
So
Lisa?
hopefully in this next hour that she'll get me all whipped into shape.
Right.
All right. So we just have a couple minutes. This segment's like really, really quick. So Lisa, you're a big Wisconsin Badger fan.
Oh, good. Okay.
What
So you
could
can-
be
so you should
Nebraska?
a Husker fan.
Yeah. They look the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I got to go to the Wisconsin-Michigan game in like 2007, maybe 2008.
Now, why were you up there?
So
for
I have
that?
a friend who his family has tickets to all the Wisconsin stuff. And he invited me out to a game, and it was one of the most fun experiences I have ever had as a college football fan. I mean, nothing beats Nebraska. I will take that to my grave, but Camp Randall is hands down the second best place I've ever been.
Were you jumping around?
Oh my gosh. And the fans are so much fun. Downtown is so much it was so fun. It's like I said, my heart bleeds Nebraska red, but I like Wisconsin.
You didn't wear a Wisconsin shirt, did you?
I did.
Brandy, I mean, honestly.
I mean,
now.
it was between that and Michigan. You tell me which one.
Yeah, you can't really
Come
wear
on now.
Michigan. You could have just wore a plain red. You could have just worn a plain red
No, if I was
shirt.
gonna go, I was gonna go all in.
No, that's okay.
It was fun. And there's this is not football related, but there's a zoo there that's 100% free. Lisa, you would know more about this than I do, but what I remember is that like the person who created it was like, I want this zoo to be free for anybody to come. And it's amazing. It's beautiful. Like it is an amazing zoo. Yeah. See?
Now, I've been to Madison 3 times. No football related activities. I went to play in a video game tournament.
I mean, you're judging me.
A Nintendo Tecmo Super Bowl video game tournament.
Okay, that actually sounds really fun.
Madison used to be like the epicenter of Tecmo Super Bowl. Like there would be 200 guys from like 30 different states that would all go to the Badger Bowl. You know the Badger Bowl, Lisa? That's now closed. Okay. So at the Badger Bowl. So I've been to the Badger Bowl. And then there's also, this is going to escape me. There's also a pizza place, the Glass Nickel. Okay. So the multiple times I've been to Madison or even in Green Bay, I've been to Green Bay for a couple of these tournaments as well. We get the Glass Nickel every single time. So I have a few connections to Madison, not football related, but video game and pizza. And then people would always have me. I always have to get beer for people when I go there too. Laughing Cow, I think, right? Yeah. Okay. So the Spotted Cow. Yes. Spotted Cow. Okay. So a few things, and hopefully we can get up to Wisconsin. A lot of the guys that I play this Nintendo game with are from Wisconsin. So there was like, oh, you coming up to the Nebraska Wisconsin game? I'm like, no.
We should go up there and run a marathon with Lisa.
A marathon?
Yeah. Okay, half marathon.
Yeah. I don't think you're not running a marathon.
Oh, did you hear that, Lisa?
Are you?
I never have. I don't know if my knees can handle it. It's that's my only holdup.
Well, speaking of marathon training, coming up in the next segment, we're going to get you some, we're going to talk about a training program.
Okay.
Just for you, Brandy.
Just for me.
I don't know if guys are allowed, but I know this is for women, but just for you. So when we come back, we're going to get into Lisa's 12-minute turtle running group. So we're going to talk about how she got into running and a little bit about that on 93.7 The Ticket, Fitness Fanatics.
Yeah, the Fanatics. I tried something new with that one. That's why I got up, ran away, and muted it again. So they're not hot right now.
We don't talk about anything earth-shattering in here.
No, we're talking about ferals.
And listeners. So, this says an innovative virtual running for back of the pack runners. Mm-hmm. She helps women.
I thought so when I was looking at her website. I thought that but I was confused. I was going to ask her about it doesn't say it is women specific, but it's not ruling out anyone. That's what I thought that she said.
Our Southwest Lincoln development is just going great as we keep growing in Southwest Lincoln. Down the road, we have a new store.
So we're all good?
So that's exciting. We also have a new development out in East Lincoln over by Hillcrest Country Club. Just a real neat subdivision. Features, trees, great views. If you're concerned about interest rates, many lenders in town offer extended lock periods. So
join your fellow veterans and their families at one of our homes in Bellevue, Kearney, Norfolk, or Scottsbluff. With a sliding scale to determine your financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays. The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart.
Then pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The Nebraska State Veterans Homes are here to serve veterans, their spouses, surviving spouses, and Gold Star parents. Join your fellow veterans and their families at one of our homes in Bellevue, Kearney, Norfolk, or Scottsbluff. With a sliding scale to determine your financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon. Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Do you remember your favorite teacher? I sure do. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. Teachers push students to do their best and help kids when they struggle. They make their classrooms welcoming and safe for all students. They create engaging lessons that help students access complex concepts and make connections. Support our public school teachers and students. Help make this the best school year yet.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I wanted to quit for so long, but I didn't know where to start.
I was afraid of what people would think, but then I found the right support to start my recovery journey. 1 in 14 Americans reports experiencing a substance use disorder, a treatable medical condition. Treatment can take many forms, so there are a variety of options to explore and find the one that works best for you. Recovery from drug addiction is possible.
Paid for by the CDC, sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Welcome into Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now here are your hosts, Jeff and Nicole Essig.
All right, welcome back in to the Fitness Fanatics. We're having a little technical issues this morning.
Yeah, we're gonna have to hold off on Lisa for a little bit. Nick's on his way swinging in here. We still got that echo.
But we got all the hot mics fixed at least. So you guys will take it away here for a little bit.
Okay.
And then, like I said, we'll have Nick in here. He's kind of the guru of this stuff. He'll help it out. And then we'll have Lisa in about 5 minutes or so.
Now on our show, if the mics are still on during break, we don't talk about anything
Right.
interesting, really.
No, I hope that if it was on, you heard us talking about form and kicking the bag.
Talk about
Harrison just joined Farrell's and is doing the 10-week challenge.
Yeah, this will be week 4 coming up here.
How did week 1 go?
Week 1 was tough. Just trying. It wasn't so much like, yeah, you're super sore, but obviously doing ticket weeknights, you're here late, and then getting up around 4 or 5 in the morning, depending on if I'm going to actually wake up and eat breakfast or not, or if
Sure.
I'm just going to eat a bar
Yep.
on the way there. But then once doing that, week 1, week 2, you kind of get over the uncoordination.
Right.
So I put it because it's something new. I never really worked on bags before. And then, yeah, week 3, I feel like it's really starting to come together. Like now it's a lot of fun coming in there, kind of know what you're doing, and you're kind of ramping up too.
Right.
Like I like the fact that you can do it for, I mean, you guys have been doing it forever, but with the bands and the more, in shape you get, the more you can move those bands, the more you can go
Sure.
up in those bands. So you just keep working on the same muscles, just ramp up despite, even if you're doing kind of similar workouts, those
Right.
bands you can get really creative with.
I always think like one of the things I tell people is I wish there was a way, and Jeff, I know you will know this, and you will too, Harrison, once you get done, I wish there was a way you could bottle up how you feel at the end of your 10 weeks and give people like a taste of that before they sign up. Because it changes everything about the way you do everything, right? Like, I feel like you physically feel better, you mentally feel better, you have this routine in place now. It just feels so much easier when you're all done, if that makes sense.
Well, and something else I thought was cool. Like I always thought like the Biggest Loser at the beginning of when they start, they do
Mhm.
interviews with themselves,
Mhm.
and they're like if we would have done this with Mark, let's say,
Yeah.
before he started his 10-week challenge, and we were like, okay, Mark, I want you to talk to your future self.
Yeah.
When you're 100 pounds lighter, because that's coming.
Right.
He's gonna get there.
Right.
What would you tell yourself?
Right.
And you know how they were like, don't go back to this way. Like they give themselves advice.
Sure.
How they're gonna be when the show's over,
Right.
or when they're done. That's so cool.
And I just love to, anything worth having, or anything worth doing is going to take time. Like we live in an instant gratification society. It's always been that way, I think. But I think things like social media have amplified it a bit. And it just the amount you grow, and I know this is Lisa's bag, so when she talks again, I'm sure she can talk about this too, but the amount of payoff there is in investing and putting time in and making these little baby steps and then looking back and saying, I did that. You grow in your confidence so much, right? The same thing I'm sure when you ran your first marathon, you're like, and you start training for it, and then you finally do it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just did that, right?
Right.
Like there's just this huge wave of accomplishment that comes with it, and I get really excited to watch our 10-weekers because you go from struggling to figure out how on earth do you wrap these wraps around your wrists,
Yeah, right.
and how do you get this O-ring on your legs to do inners and outers,
Yep.
to people just coming in with this like air of confidence and this. I get it, even after week 3, right? But the longer you're there, you just know it. It's just who you are. It's what you do.
Yeah. It's like when Mark comes in now,
Mm-hmm.
he just struts in like, yeah, I'm here for workout.
Right, right.
But when he first started, you're a little self-conscious and like not sure what you're doing and what you're getting yourself into. But now after, I think he's been at this since April, so he's going on month
Mhm,
7.
mhm.
Now he's just coming in, gets his bag, knows what he's doing, gets his stuff, and tears it up.
Yeah.
Now, Harrison, did you get perfect attendance this week?
Sunday hit the virtual, or not Sunday,
Okay.
Saturday.
So you did then.
Yeah. So
Okay.
first week, which is big for me to get that perfect, because I told you, I think it was Tuesday. I was like,
Yep.
get the perfect this
You
week.
did.
I was
You did.
So yeah, Sunday, or I keep saying Sunday, Saturday hit the virtual.
I love
and then
virtual workouts.
Yeah, it was kind of nice because I feel bad for my girlfriend sometimes because she's like, you don't want to do anything at night anymore. I'm like, yeah, I'm just like
I
crazy
can't yet.
busy. And so it's like, it's kind of nice that way we can, I don't have to go to bed super early
Mhm.
Friday night. I can still get up, don't have to rush around, fly everywhere. And then even hit a nice little mile run as well. So
Sure.
kind of doing stuff like that. I think that's another part of ferals. It's like even if you're not necessarily hitting ferals all the time, you kind of learn how to work out again, and you get that mindset of like if you miss one, it starts to bother you. And it's like I'm building consistency. So say, you know, if I do happen to oversleep, worst case scenario, you can catch an afternoon one, and then here comes Nick, by the way, our technical difficulties guy, here to save the day a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And like I said, just the consistency is making it a lot easier for me.
Sure. I think, you know, I'm a big person when things get out of control. A big focus for my life and the thing that I try and preach to others is you control the things that you can control. And ferals is one of those things, or working out in general is one of those things, right? Even if my entire day is a mess and I don't know where anything's going to be or what's going to happen, I know for those 45 minutes, that's in my control. Even if I do it at home, I know I can control it because it's something that I'm doing.
Yes.
Yep. And then real quick, let's try to get Brandy back in here as we have Nick in here.
Lisa.
Or Lisa. Like, you're Brandy. Bring Lisa back in here. And then
hello.
There we go. All right, should be good here. Lisa, are you there?
All right.
That's just connection issues. I think we're good here.
Okay.
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 All right. So Lisa, we're going to get into your running group. So I want you to start off because I know you told me a story about how you got started with your first marathon. So why don't you share that? And we'll get into how the running group got started.
Absolutely. So I used to be and I loved teaching kids, but who I was. I loved it. And one evening, good.
I think we're having Wi-Fi issues now. Do you have pretty good connection with the Wi-Fi?
So.
Because we can hear you fine. There's no echo. It's just crackling in and out a little bit.
Okay. Do you want me to try and take these out?
Or we might have to go back to the phone here just because of the Wi-Fi. We have the audio is all set up now, nice, but I think we're having a Wi-Fi connection issue now. So just stacking up today.
I blame this all on Jeff. If he would have just planned things out a little better.
Let's just keep it going. It sounds like it got a little better there. So
okay,
we'll try it out and see if the Wi-Fi gets better. But at this point, that's all it is right now.
We can hear you now.
Yeah, you sound good now.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
okay, the Wi-Fi is good. So we're set. Fitness Fanatics.
Here we go.
It's gonna be a great hour coming up.
10:15. We're ready.
Ready. Awesome. Okay. So like I said, I used to be a kindergarten teacher. And one night after teaching, I happened to be working out at the Wisconsin Athletic Club. And I wandered into an information night for Team in Training. I didn't know what Team in Training was, but I found out that it's a part of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And as a volunteer with Team in Training, you raise money and awareness for blood-related cancers. And then in exchange, they teach you and train you how to run a marathon. They also train a marathon is one option, but they also have the option of doing a century bike ride or a triathlon. So I had never ran further than 3 miles at that point, and I did not know anyone that had leukemia. And I signed up on the spot to join Team in Training and run my first full marathon, 26.2 miles
just on a whim
in Anchorage, Alaska. Yep. Which is how I make decisions. I just kind of jump in.
I love it. I love it. You're speaking my love language, Lisa.
Yes. Yeah. So that's how I just signed up. And it turns out that training for a marathon is very, very hard, but we ran in honor of someone that's an honored patient, somebody that had or has had leukemia. And the honored patient that year, that season that I did Team in Training, happened to be a 5-year-old girl named Riley. And I didn't know Riley, but I felt like I did in the eyes of all of my kindergarten students. And so I wore a hospital bracelet with her name on it. And when I didn't feel like going for a run, I would look at that bracelet and remind myself that Riley didn't feel like going to chemo. And that was enough to get me out the door. So through Team in Training, the longest training run they have you do is 20 miles. So when I showed up in Alaska at the starting line, I would be running my furthest run ever by 6.2 miles. My sister had given me a disposable camera. So I don't even know if they make those anymore, but there were 27 exposures. And I had that wrapped around my wrist. And as I started the race, I didn't take a picture of any of the beautiful scenery. I took a picture of every single mile marker, which was the perfect distraction. But when I got to mile 25, that's when I started to realize that I was actually going to finish. Like I had 1.2 miles to go. And then I saw a woman standing by the side of the road holding a sign that said, "Thank you, team in training. You saved my life."
Mhm.
And I was trying not to cry so that I could breathe. And when I crossed that finish line, I was honestly a whole new person. Like I was so proud of, I raised $5,000 for the Leukemia Society. And in 2005, as a kindergarten teacher, that felt like a lot of money.
Sure.
And I had just finished a marathon, 26.2 miles, that most people say is impossible, right? And so all of a sudden, I felt like if I can do this, like what else can I do? Right? Like, how have I been holding myself back unintentionally just
Sure.
because I thought that there was a limit, right, as to what I was capable of? And it wasn't a conscious thought, but that's how I had this fire that was lit in my soul. Because when I learned something, I think this is how teachers are. If you're someone that's wired to be a teacher, when you learn something, you really want to teach it to other people. And I learned something that fundamentally changed who I was. And I felt like I had to tell people. My husband would tell people, like warn people not to talk to me. Don't talk to Lisa. She'll try to convince you to run a marathon. And it's true, I would. But it wasn't necessarily about the running. It's about crossing that finish line and knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can do impossible things. And that's actually just the beginning.
Well, I do want to give a shout out to team in training, because Nicole was kind of disappointed she wasn't going to be here, because she started her triathlon career through team in training. So
Awesome.
she had used team in training to do an Olympic distance triathlon.
Yeah.
So she wanted to make sure that I brought that up.
Yes.
Before we
Go
move
team.
on. So yes, so she was that really helped her, the group, the coach. And again, it's like you said, like when you didn't want to go run 10 miles, you look down at that bracelet and that little girl that, yeah, she doesn't want to go to chemo. She'd rather be going to kindergarten class or
Right.
playing with her friends or riding her bike or something else. But, so it kind of puts the little bit of pain that we endure while we're running,
Right.
it doesn't even to compare to what she was going through by no fault of her own.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yes. All right. So after that marathon, you started. Now, did you decide to start this during that marathon, or was it in a different marathon that you decided to start this?
So it's interesting. When I crossed that finish line, here's what I knew. As soon as I crossed that finish line, I decided that I was going to run a marathon in all 50 states. So for one reason, because I felt like I wanted to keep doing hard things. And another reason is I love to get a trip out of it. I mean, I love to travel. So the idea of like earning a trip by doing something hard was very appealing to me. So I decided to run a marathon in all 50 states. My sister, that had given me the disposable camera, decided that this was a brilliant idea. So my second marathon was her first, and we've been running together ever since. And it was in my 10th marathon. I was training for the Flying Pigs Marathon in Cincinnati. And when I was training for that, I was doing the longest training run that I would do for that particular race. And it happened to be a 23-mile training run. And I was doing the training run right by Henry Vilas Zoo that we already brought up. That's exactly where I was when this happened. I was doing the training run, and it was a really warm day. It took me probably just a really exceptionally long time for me to start getting comfortable on that run. And when I finished that run, I looked at my watch and realized I was running about 12 and a half minute miles. Now, when I started, for background, I felt like I was a 10-minute mile runner, but that had been in 2005, right? So over time, I wasn't getting faster, I was getting slower. And so that doesn't really feel that good. I had two thoughts that were basically overlapping. The first thought was, no one can say I'm not a runner because I just ran 23 miles. And
Mhm.
almost overlapping that thought was a very powerful voice that said, you shouldn't have to run 23 miles to say that you're a runner.
Right.
And just like that, it was like a lightning bolt. The 12, I had the idea for the 12-minute turtles, and it was based on that 12.5 mile run. But it actually has nothing to do with 12 minutes. It's just the idea that one foot in front of the other is good enough, right? That the movement is good enough and showing up is good enough. So that's where I got the idea for the 12-minute turtles. And it didn't become the 12-minute turtles right away. That was like the idea came to me. I told my sister and two other girls about it, and that they were all on board. We had been calling ourselves the 12-minute turtles, but it wasn't actually until the pandemic that I became a certified running coach and officially started the 12-minute turtles running group.
You know, I love that you talk about just one foot in front of the other, Lisa. I was sitting here thinking, so my siblings and all of our husbands participate every year in the St. Jude Marathon down in Memphis. And I say marathon, but none of us have ever done the full 26. We do, the 5K, the 10K, the half. And last year, my middle sister, she was like, I'll run the 10K with you. And so we got to mile 6, and we're at this like crossroads, this fork. And I said, how do you feel? And she goes, I actually feel pretty good. How do you feel? And I said, I feel pretty good. And she said, do we go the full 13? And I was like, I don't know, man. Do you think we can? She was like, I feel like we can. I was like, oh, I kind of feel like we can. I said, well, let's find someone to help us. Like, let's find a coin. Let's flip a coin. Heads, we go 13. Tails, we run it in. Sure enough, we flipped tails. And we just looked at each other, and she said, we're going to take it. We're going to take it mile by mile, step by step. And we put on we synced our headphones together. And for the next 6 miles, we would run a song, walk a song. We would skip a song to give our legs like a different break. And just watching different people and going those extra miles, like you were talking about, like crossing the finish line when you finally did it, you can do it. It's just convincing yourself and not looking at it as this giant thing, but the thing that's right in front of you at that particular second.
Mhm. I love that. Wow. That talk about a split decision. Like, I know.
We started going 6.5 miles. We were about 6.5. And I said, I don't really want to do this anymore. And she goes, I don't either, but we can't turn around. We've already gone. So we FaceTime my mom and dad, and they were like, go, you flipped a coin. You're going to go. And so we did it.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
So what does what can you do for people for the, well, are we up? We probably should take a break real quick, and then we'll get into what actually
I want to hear about these
training.
12-minute turtles.
Yes,
I'm excited about this.
Randy's contemplating doing.
I really am now.
Have you done a full marathon in Nebraska yet?
No, I have not.
Okay.
This could be our time to shine.
Oh, yeah. We got the Lincoln Full Marathon is always in April.
Okay.
And it ends in Memorial Stadium.
Mhm.
Now, you run and you finish running across the 50-yard line in Memorial Stadium. It's really cool. So we'll talk about the 12-minute turtles and what you can do for people and help them train. When we come back, Lisa Robb is joining us. We'll be back on 93.7 The Ticket, Fitness Fanatics.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Nebraska State Veterans Homes are here to serve veterans, their spouses, surviving spouses, and Gold Star parents. Join your fellow veterans and their families at one of our homes in Bellevue, Kearney, Norfolk, or Scottsbluff. With a sliding scale to determine your financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Here's to days spent roaming, and to sleeping beneath the stars, to casting another line and letting time float by. From Shadron State Park to Indian Cave State Park and every recreation area, historical, and state park in between. Here's to your adventures, your memories. Here's to going out and enjoying your Nebraska State Parks. Plan your next trip today at yournebraskaparks.org. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we
go. Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into the Fitness Fanatics. We had a texter, you might know who this is, Nicole Essing, texted in the show. She said, well, first, Lisa, she remembers her patient's name was Nick from, this is over 10 years ago, 12 years ago. So she still remembers who her patient that she did her triathlon for. And she also said, don't lie, Jeff. You're totally thinking about doing another marathon right now.
You know, over the break, the three of us were talking about it. I feel like we might have got Harrison on board too. Like,
I'll do it. I mean, if you guys really all go for it, then yeah, I'll be down. That's a bucket list thing that
maybe when Lisa schedules her full marathon in the state of Nebraska, maybe we can drum up some runners.
Folks.
Yeah, I got to get a half under me first, and then hopefully
or 10 miles.
Yeah, get to double digits at least.
So I've done 5 full marathons in my life. I don't know. You ran in Alaska. I've done 2 in Bellingham, Washington,
Oh,
which is, I mean, running in Wisconsin and running in Nebraska and running in Iowa, you're like, oh wow, there's a cow, there's a field, there's nothing, right? There's a creek. It's so there's a silo, there's corn, there's but when you run like in different states, like running in Washington for me was like, oh my gosh, I'm at sea level. I can see the ocean, I can see the mountains. Like I don't even really know that I'm running right now because I'm just
There's so
looking.
much to see.
Yeah, and Nicole and I, when we go on vacations, we love to just to run while we're on vacation, not full marathons, but like we've been to we've been to New York City, we ran along the Hudson River, so when you're running, looking at the Statue of Liberty, looking at the Freedom Tower, you don't even know you're running 10 miles. Or in Niagara Falls, we've ran in Santa Monica, like stuff like that is just take your mind off of it. There's nothing to take your mind off running in Nebraska. I mean, it's just fields. That's it. So yes, I am thinking about doing another full
But
marathon.
I think to know more about it, I want to know more about these 12-minute turtles.
Yes.
Like I gotta know the gist of this. I gotta get the rundown.
Yes, because I would love to average, so a 12-minute mile pace for a full marathon is what time?
It's over 5 hours, probably around 5.5 hours or something
Okay.
like that. As for the 12-minute turtles, the race that we choose, we always find a race that has a generous time limit.
Okay.
Because we believe in the power of the back of the pack. I
Right.
really think it's so inspiring when you see the runners that are in the back of the pack and you look at them like, what got in your head that you thought, I think I'll run a marathon. And then not only do you get the idea, but you execute on that idea.
Mhm.
And here you are showing up and showing everyone that you can do hard things. I think it's amazing. Right. And those
Mhm.
are the people, like, it's almost like cheering for the underdog, right? It's
Mhm.
so much
Mhm.
fun that we just decided we're going to do this. And then we keep showing up and putting one foot in front of the other. And before you know it, we're marathon runners. Like what you were saying, Brandy, before about, and you were talking about going to the gym, but I feel like it applies here. It becomes who you are and what you do.
Mhm.
When I call myself a runner, there are people that run half marathons and still are like, I'm not a runner though.
Mhm.
Right? Like they feel like they have to that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about 12-minute turtles because people feel like they have to qualify for being a runner, right? They have to be a certain speed to be a runner
Sure.
or go a certain distance to be a runner. And I fundamentally do not believe that. I believe that showing up and putting one foot in front of the other, that is what makes you a runner. And it doesn't matter how far you go or how fast you go.
Mhm.
And going the distance together is so much fun. Like Jeff, you were talking about going to other states to run, and I love that. I love running on vacation. I love running marathons in different locations. And so part of what we do as the 12-minute turtles is because of a lesson that I learned when I ran my marathon in Wisconsin. I ran in Green Bay and you finish at Lambeau Field, which was a really cool experience. The mistake I made was after the marathon, I went home and I went back to work. The marathon was on Sunday. I was back to work on Monday. And it was
Horrible idea.
because of that, it was the worst marathon experience that I had. And it wasn't about the sights or the cool race, right? It was because I went home. So the 12-minute turtles have a saying, turtles go home Tuesday. So the race is always on
I
the
saw
weekend.
that. Yep,
We
I
go
saw that
home
on your
Tuesday.
stuff.
Yeah, because Monday is like the day after the race. That's when we really celebrate by having a turtle adventure day. So we go and do something. When this summer we ran a race in Missoula, Montana. And for our turtle adventure day, we went horseback riding and it was so amazing. Like you're in the mountains and it was just so scenic and beautiful. And we have these memories, right? From that experience. And it's those memories, like in addition to the race, it's everything tied to it
Yes.
that makes all of the other races, like Jeff, when you were talking about like, oh, just a cornfield in Nebraska, right? But when
Right.
you have these experiences, you're like, I know why I'm doing it. It's because I'm going to have this amazing experience. and feel so good about myself.
I love that you say that. So I'm just like picturing in my head the one marathon we do or half marathon that we do. And the race is on Saturday. We go home on Monday. And on Sunday, we do exactly what you said. Like we go visit Beale Street and find a band. We go eat at Gus's Chicken, which is the best chicken restaurant in Memphis. We go, ride scooters by the river and just celebrate and stay moving still, because I think that's a big part after you're done. And then we come home the next day. And so I love that. I love that, we did it. Like you said, you and your crew did it. And then the next day, by God, we're going to run this town because we just did something monumental.
Yes. And I also believe that it's not even about finishing, right? It's the courage to show up because you never know what's going to happen on race day. Finishes are not guaranteed, right? Just like wins in a football game. It's not guaranteed. And so when we earn that medal because we finish, that is fantastic, but we don't celebrate that. That's not guaranteed. And even if there ever is a race that I cannot finish, I mean, there are Olympic marathon runners that do not finish, right? But the thing is that if we say to ourselves, no matter what happens, even if I do not finish because the stars don't align on that particular day, I'm going to keep showing up, right? And then having this power of like, if something goes wrong, then I'm going to have a comeback story, right? A setback is a setup for a comeback. Yeah.
So so like you said, this year you're doing one in Phoenix.
Yes.
So do you have ladies from all over the country that like you guys, you train virtually and then you meet like for the first time at the marathon? Because that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Isn't it cool? So right now we're a small group that's primarily out of Wisconsin.
Okay.
But we don't run together. So you're right. This is a virtual running community. So the more people that join us, we will just be from all over the country as this group expands. And the way the 12-minute turtles works is once a week, we have a Zoom call. We call it our Turtle MAC call. MAC stands for Motivation, Accountability, and Connection. And once a week, we just have a short 30-minute call where we talk about how our running is going. If any questions come up, there's a lot to learn about becoming a runner, about nutrition and rest and avoiding injury. So we talk about all of those things. And then we always have a fun. So we have a private Facebook group and we always have a hashtag of the week. So this week, it happens to be hashtag turtle curiosity. And every time during the week that you get out and either walk or run at least 1 mile, so the bar is low, right? At least 1 mile, then you post in the group a selfie and then you tell us something that has to do with the hashtag of the week, which is turtle curiosity. So something that you have been curious about, like a specific moment that brought up curiosity for you. And it allows us to get to know one another. And it allows us to kind of just put a stamp down, like I got out for my run, right? And get acknowledged from the group and cheered on. We all support each other. So it's so fun. And then on our Turtle Mac calls, I do one of those little spinny wheels. And every time you have a post with the hashtag of the week, you get a spot, or I don't know what you call it, but you get a little wedge on the wheel. And then we give out a gift card.
Yes.
So it's either a gift card for like Starbucks or Fleet Feet or something like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Okay. So you said that you pick a different place to go. And you said earlier that your goal is to run a marathon in all 50 states.
Yep.
How far ahead do you plan? Like, do you know where you want to go next? And how many states have you gone to so far?
Awesome. So I've been to 13 states so far. So 13 down, 37 to go. And at the rate I'm going, I won't finish until I'm in my 90s because this is not a goal that's like, how fast can I run?
Sure.
50, right? I'm not going to run a marathon every month until I'm done and have it done in 3 years, right? That doesn't even sound fun to me. I love that part of the fun is the anticipation of like having something to look forward to. So I only have one at a time planned ahead. I have a bucket list of races that I really want to run, but I only plan one at a time. So the next one is the Phoenix or the Rock and Roll Arizona in Phoenix in January. We have some turtles that are running the full marathon, some that are running the half marathon, and some that are doing the 10K. So, and the training plans that I create, we run on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Obviously, there's a lot of flexibility in that, but we're only running 3 days a week. So, a lot of people, if you're not a runner, you're not a marathon runner, you don't realize that you're not running every single day for super long periods of time. So, for a full marathon, we run 4 miles on Tuesday, 4 on Thursday. And you can change that to Monday, Wednesday if it works better for your schedule, but we're only running 4 miles during the week. And then our long runs are on Saturday. And Brandy, this is for you. A lot of people think the half marathon and the full marathon, like it seems like a full marathon, you take the work of the half marathon and then double it.
Yes, that's exactly my problem, Lisa.
Yes. Actually, here's some perspective for you. It's a difference of 6 runs. Because your Tuesday, Thursday you're just running 4 miles, 4 miles. That does not change.
Sure.
Whether you're doing for a half, you can do 3 miles, but for a full marathon, you're just going 4 miles during the week. It is 6 long runs is the difference between a full marathon and a half marathon.
So I have a question for you, Lisa. We were talking about this during the break too. And I'm sure you've heard this from people who join your running group and whatnot. So I was saying to these two during the break, I wish there was like a halfway between race, right? So like an 18-mile race or like a 20-mile race. And I, like I said, I assume you've had other people say the same thing. So what would you tell somebody who mentally needs to get over that? Like you said, you were talking about, it's just a couple of extra runs. What do you what would you say to someone like race day to help them get over that hurdle?
Yeah, that is so great. So, first of all, it's mindset, right? It's not the physical getting over it. It's the mental hurdle of like, whoa, that seems like that's like a limit that you've imposed on yourself. It's not a physical limit. It's just like your mind can't comprehend going farther than that. Like that's crazy, right? But that number is different for different people. I had someone that was training this summer for her first half marathon, and her mental hurdle was 4 miles. She's like, she didn't know how could she possibly go from 3 to 4, right? Like 4 miles just seemed like, how can I possibly do that? And my sister, who's one of the 12-minute turtles, said, have your husband drive you 4 miles away and drop you off. And that, you know what I mean? And then you have to come home, right? And so we got a good laugh out of that, but it really was like, it is sometimes just acknowledging that this is a story we're making up in our mind and we're putting a limit on ourselves where it's not necessary.
Right.
Well, I used to think that because for Farrell's, we do a mile run. Well, you do a time mile. Well, we don't do it anymore in Lincoln, but when I started, we did that.
Same.
And I remember like, and Nicole would say the same thing as she was here. After we were done testing at week 10, we were both like, we are never going to run unless somebody is chasing us again. And then, she was just doing some treadmill stuff. And then at one point she looked down and she had gone like 3 miles on the treadmill. It's like, wow. She hadn't ran for years, but she was doing Farrell's for years, just working on her cardio and stuff. And so she started running long distance before I did, because in that mile, like my side would ache, my shoulders would hurt, my feet would hurt in that 1 mile. And she'd always say, Jeff, that goes away. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like, how am I going to run 3 miles when in the first 40 seconds I have a side ache, And then we did a fit challenge once where instead of doing a mile run, we had to do a 2 mile run. So that fit challenge, when I was doing my testing, I was like, I had a side ache in the first half of the mile. And then all of a sudden it wasn't there. And I was like, wow, Nicole was right.
Oh, did you? I hope she's listening right now.
Well, she always hears that.
I hope she hears that.
But she was right. Now, it took me to do it before I believed her, but she was right on that. So like when you think you can't do something, then like Brandy was saying, like, oh, I don't know, full marathon. But it's like you don't just roll out of bed and do a full marathon.
Yes,
If
and
you-
here's a really important. I'm so glad you brought this up because even if you're a marathon runner, the first 3 miles are always the worst.
Mhm.
They are always the worst, and I'm going to give you an analogy that really can help explain this. But that's why people that sign up and run 5Ks, which are 3.1 miles, are like, I could never run further than 3 miles because they're only doing the hardest part.
Right.
Sure.
And it's
right.
like I compare it to pushing a really, really, really heavy cart. Like if you have, let's say you go to Costco and you bought all the heaviest things in the store, right? And the cart is just sitting there and you have to get it, you have to push it to check out. Think about that. You're holding onto the handles. You're like pushing your entire body trying to get it started, right? It's so hard to get it started because it's so heavy. But
Mhm.
once you get it going, what happens? You can push it with one finger, right?
Yep.
Right.
Once it's going. And that's the way your body works. The hardest part of every run, no matter if you're a marathon runner or just starting, is the beginning
Right.
because your body needs to get adjusted to like your heart pumping faster, your blood moving faster, your brain starts to work faster. Like
Right.
it's just like revving up. But once your body is revved up and everything is moving, it's like pushing a cart with one finger. You just keep going.
All right. We are up for our last break. When we come back, we're going to finish up with Lisa, and she's going to get you all the cool details on how we can find out more about the 12-minute turtles.
We're
We'll
going
be
to
right
talk
back.
more about running a marathon, right? Over the break, the three of us.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
All right. 93.7 The Ticket, Fitness Fanatics.
Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul and Gato Comedy Syndicate present Big Comedy Energy November 11th and 12th, featuring headliner Corbin LeMaster.
Like, if you don't know, cultural appropriation is like if you're not black, you can't have cornrows. If you're not Asian, you can't use chopsticks. If you're white, you can't score a touchdown.
4 shows November 11th and 12th at 7 and 9:30 at Mary Ellen's at 27th and Pine Lake. Tickets are $15 in advance or $25 at the door. For more information, find the event on the Mary Ellen's page on Facebook.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003.
At 4 in the morning, my phone rang. They said, I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action. Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is there are caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, you got any gum?
Yeah, check my backpack.
What's this?
Oh, that's naloxone. It can reverse an opioid overdose. I decided to always keep it on me after my friend almost died. It saved his life.
I'm so sorry. That makes me want to have it with me too.
You totally should. Check the pharmacy. It was actually really easy to get and it's easy to use.
I definitely will. Thanks.
Paid for by the CDC, sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now back to Fitness Fanatics on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, final segments with our guest, Lisa Robb from Madison, Wisconsin. Just going to finish up, Lisa. Why don't you just give us a little overview of kind of what you do, how people can find you on all the social media platforms, and what else you offer just besides the running.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So I am a life coach. I work primarily with women, and I help with women who want to create a life that is so dreamy that they cannot wait to get out of bed in the morning. Part of that is fitness, right? And everyone comes to me for different things, but everything is all connected, right? If you can't feel like your best self if you don't feel really well, you can't feel like your best self if you don't have really good relationships. You can't feel like your best self if you feel like you're not using your strengths in your work and in your life. So I help women create a life that they just love so much, and that they're it's like a pinch me, I'm dreaming kind of a life. I do that through one-on-one coaching, which a lot of what we talk about is mindset. And sometimes we need to change things, and other times we have to change the way we look at things. So that's one way that I help people. I also run quarterly retreats for women called the Great Balls of Glitter Getaway. That is so much fun. And I help women create 90-day game plans. And then, of course, the 12-minute Turtles, which is the virtual running community where I help women cross finish lines.
All right. So where
social media. Yeah,
social media.
Thank you. Yes, I am on Instagram at Raining Glitter Coaching. I'm the same thing on Facebook. And if you're on LinkedIn, it's at Raining Glitter Lisa Robb.
So do you instruct at Farrell's at all?
No, I do not instruct.
You should.
You would be so
good.
Awesome on the mic. I mean, can you imagine teaching a class and like inspiring all those people that are like day one, where like Harrison, who's just like, oh my, I don't know if I could get through 5 minutes of cardio. This is amazing. Like, you know,
we have really great, I appreciate that vote of confidence. We have really great instructors. I mean, there's times that I've almost cried, the things that they say, right? Like I remember one instructor in particular, her name was Sherry, and she's like, don't give up on me now. And then she said, don't give up on yourself. And I was like, oh, what? It was just crazy. So yes, I appreciate that. The last thing I forgot to share, my website is rainingglittercoaching.com. And that's a great way to stay in touch. If you sign up for my newsletter, I can share all of the things that are happening in my Raining Glitter.
I signed up for it on Friday.
Brandy Benson signed up.
I did.
Yes.
I'm all in, Lisa. I checked your website. Like I was looking stuff over. Jeff can attest to this. I am if you believe it, you achieve it. Like you bring about what you think about. It is, silver linings mindset. And I was, because now I'm seriously considering this marathon thing. And I was thinking about Derek Pearson, who owns the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
I had the opportunity to listen to him speak about a month ago. And the thing that he said that stuck out to me is you have the right to be in this moment that you're in right now. And nothing is coincidence. Nothing is circumstance, or nothing is a coincidence. This is where you are meant to be. The circumstances you have been in have brought you to this moment for a very specific reason. And so I've been thinking about that. And like I said, I got on your website and was like, yes, like I love everything that she is saying, because this is how I live my life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'll tell you the feeling, because I believe like the statistics are less than 0.5% of the entire population will do a marathon in their lifetime.
Yes.
So
Really?
yes,
Oh.
0.5% of the entire world population.
Oh, okay.
So I know the feeling that I've got when I've crossed the finish lines at marathons. Like the first marathon I did was a total disaster, didn't train, was injured, took me like 6.5 hours. I was like the 15-minute snail. That was me. The turtle. I did it.
You did
yes,
it.
the turtle would have wiped the floor with me in that first marathon. But I came back like 3 years later and did it in 5 hours and 15 minutes. The exact same marathon. So
fantastic.
yeah, so it's but the feeling you get when you cross, and Nicole's done marathons, and it's just cool to get that medal.
Right.
And because the 0.5% is, and I have my 26.2 sticker on my car.
Heck yeah. Rock
that I
that
drive
thing.
around. And I didn't run the whole thing. I run, walk, run, walk, run, walk. But you know what? I'll tell you what, I think it's easier to finish a marathon in like these people that are like the elite runners, that they're done in like 2 hours and 45 minutes is way easier on your body than for us being out there for 5.5 hours. Just boom. I mean, more, right? Because we're on our feet for 5.5 hours, not 2.5 hours. Like by the time we get finished, they're just, getting the massages and they're fed, and they're just, treated like kings
cheering
and
us on.
queens. And then here we are just like, oh my gosh, this is so far away.
And those people are my favorite people that are in the back of the pack with us. Those are the people, that 0.25% of people that are willing to put in the time and energy and do hard things. And imagine if they can do that running, what are they doing with the rest of their lives? How are they contributing? What kind of impact are they making? They're believing in themselves and other people. Those are the people I want to hang out with.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Well, Lisa, thank you very much. Brandy, thank you for co-hosting with me.
I hope I did it justice. I know Nicole does it better, but I'm here if you need me.
You did great.
I'm here if you need me.
Lisa, thank you very much. When we get our podcasts, we'll get them posted. We'll tag you. If you missed any part of the show, check us out on theticketfm.com. We'll be back next week on the Fitness Fanatics. Have a great week.